a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise. The energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers. We are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we're stronger.
Was all in recognition of International Women's Day with that focus of digit all, pushing women more into the world of technology and so on, and making sure that there is equity, because yes, there's space for women too. Now, joining me for this last segment is Dr. Alina Williams, and of course, she's a clinical psychologist, very well known in this space. Good morning and welcome to you.
Thank
Dr.
you,
Alina.
Candice. Thank you. I know, right? Alina is fine, Dr. Williams, anything.
Yes.
But thank you, Candice, for having me, and it's nice to be here. Good morning, Tobago.
Good morning. Now, as we're talking about encouraging women more into this online world, because there's so many opportunities for women.
Yes.
There's so many ways that we can grow, develop ourselves, but there's bad that comes with it as well.
Definitely.
So I want to talk a little bit about that in terms
Yes.
of, how does, the things that we face online, social media, how does that affect our mental health?
So what we know is that the increased use of social media has led to two things that particularly affect women's mental health. One, the frequent use of sites like Instagram has led to a lot of comparisons where women compare their lives to perfectly curated pictures on the internet of people maybe at the gym or having their best life, or even new mothers compare their postpartum period to women that are enjoying motherhood, enjoying their baby perfectly sleeping. So we've seen a rise in both depression and anxiety disorders as a result. But we also noticed that more and more women are having body image issues.
Yes.
So there is a disorder known as body dysmorphia, where women look at themselves but they don't see the reality of how they look. They might see themselves as bigger than they actually are, or there are some cases where women see that they have acne or some deformity when none actually exists. And this is because they are obsessed with looking at perfect pictures of women that are posed perfectly, with filters, etc. But even though we know that is the reality, unconsciously and even consciously, we can't help but compare what we see to who we are. So that's one issue we've noticed. The second thing we've noticed is an increase in loneliness. Now, that's surprising because technology is meant to connect, right? So what we found is that having Facebook friends, having multiple followers does not translate to quality relationships in real life. So people have 4,000 Facebook friends, but when things get bad, they actually have one, even none, that they could reach out to, that they could connect with. And we've seen cases where people don't have that social support and they are struggling by themselves. But of course, on social media, a lot of people put on this facade that all is well. You post your best. You don't post when you're struggling, when things are bad. Even when people post, I woke up like this. They've already put on a full face of makeup. They did not wake up like that.
I pass those posts and I'm like, this is such a lie.
Yes.
No one wakes up like that.
Exactly. So we found that if not used carefully, social media, even technology, has the potential to really erode a person's mental health, but women in particular are being affected just because of the content that they might follow.
And when you think about just the way how social media is designed,
Yes.
you post something and you want to get those likes, and
Yes.
every time there's an addition,
Yes.
or there's a comment about that's complimenting the way you look and stuff like that.
Yes.
That does something to your brain.
And I'm glad you said it does something to your brain, because it actually does something to your brain. So anytime we receive a like, even when we get a ping on our phone, it actually causes the release of a chemical in our brain called dopamine, which is the reward chemical, so to speak. And that chemical is also released when we do things like a pleasurable activity like have sex or eat chocolate. So imagine something that is on your phone causing that same chemical reaction. And that's why some people when they don't get likes, they would delete the picture, or they get their validation only through that interaction on social media. But it's not a very deep and fulfilling sort of interaction. It's very superficial. So you post more and you post more and you're looking for that high constantly. And yes, some people live their entire lives on social media.
Almost like an addiction.
Definitely, there is social media addiction.
So how can women now balance that? Because I mean, as women, we want to feel liked. We want to
Yes.
feel like we are beautiful and that we are attractive.
Yes.
So how do we balance this? And how do we stay away from the toxic nature
Yes.
that can cause?
So I would always tell women, unfollow pages that make you feel bad about yourself. And it doesn't have to come with any negativity. It's just that sometimes looking at certain things, the period of life that you are in is not good for your mental health. So when I was, newly postpartum, I just unfollowed a lot of the gym pages I used to follow because I couldn't be at the gym, I couldn't be working out, I couldn't be doing those things, and it made me feel a type of way. So I just unfollowed. The other thing is to really focus on getting validation from yourself. You want to focus on being the one to uplift yourself. Yes, external validation is beautiful, but the true source of validation should come from within and how you feel about yourself. And then also, I think, Candice, that a lot of times we have to be very mindful of the time that we spend on social media because social media is meant to get you into a sort of routine where you're just clicking and clicking. You go on for 5 minutes, but then you end up scrolling for an hour or more. So unplugging is important. We need to set limits to our social media use, our technology use on a whole, and we need to unplug. Technology is a wonderful thing, but even using it before bed has been found to impact sleep because screens emit blue light, and blue light stops the production of melatonin, which is a hormone in our brain released to signal it's time to go to bed. So when your eyes detect blue light, it's essentially sending a signal to the brain that it's supposed to stay up. That's why they say an hour before bed, put away your devices. Of course, in the way we are, everything is on our device. Yeah, work is on our device, connection is on our device, learning opportunities are on our, we read books now on our devices, but we do have to learn to disengage and unplug when it's time.
Now, I want to talk about another issue that comes up when we talk about, just the life online.
Yes.
And that is, when there is revenge porn.
Oh my.
And
yeah.
I mean, just these things, the cyberbullying that goes on, the posts that people make against each other. And sometimes it's women. It seems as though women get more negative attention on social media than the men do.
Yeah. And misery likes company. What I've seen a lot in Tobago, Candice, I could be wrong, but what I've seen a lot in Tobago is the rise of fake profiles. And this has given a lot of people liberty to say and do what they want recklessly. We have to be so cautious about what we say to other people online. I think the online presence gives people a sense of safety because they're not face to face with the person. And cyberbullying is a big thing. And we have to be very mindful of the impact that it has on people's mind. There are people that end up feeling suicidal sometimes because of what is posted about them online, or the fact that some people say things online as if it's factual and it's just hearsay, it's just an opinion. So definitely people need to be, and social media etiquette is perhaps something that needs to be taught to young children because they're young people posting things online without recognizing the consequences of it. And I read an article from a HR manager. She actually said that when they're hiring people, they do go through the person's social media profile just to get a sense of what kind of person this is. And I think a lot of people don't realize that what they post has a potential to affect whether they get a job or not, whether they're respected as an individual or not. So people just very much need to be mindful and develop more social media etiquette.
And how how do women protect themselves? Like when they are a victim
Yes.
of certain things like that, like I said, the revenge porn
Yeah.
and those attacks on social media. How do you, as a woman, protect yourself? Because it seems as though the world sometimes might be coming down on you.
Yes, yes. So definitely during those times your mental health is so important and you have to hold on to your stability rocks in those times. If a woman is ever in the unfortunate position where she's the target of a social media attack, whether it's revenge porn or anything else, just being in the political life, for example, makes you a target. You have to hold on to the people that are close to you, the people that support you. Disengaging, unplugging is healthy. You don't have to respond to everything that you're called to.
I think you
Sometimes,
need to repeat that.
yes, you don't have to respond to everything that you're called to. Sometimes you just have to allow things to unfold while you do your part to protect yourself. If that includes engaging in spirituality, doing things that help, and everything is a learning lesson.
Yes.
I agree with Kizelle Jackson when she said everything that negative that happens is an opportunity to learn. We do have to learn from these things, and those things could only make you wiser if you take heart of it. But definitely unplug, don't respond to everything, and stick to the people that support you, stick to the sources of genuine love for you.
All right, well, Dr. Williams, I mean, you sort of summed everything up in a nice, neat nutshell.
Yeah.
Because it certainly are things that we need to consider.
Yes.
As we are pushing more. I mean, we can't fight the
Yes.
online presence.
That's
because we
right.
need it to function.
Yes.
But our mental health.
Yeah.
Women, we need to check our mental health at the end of the day. And do
Definitely.
what we need to do to
Yes.
stay healthy.
Yes, yes, for sure. And just take stock of how you feel before and after being on social media, and be mindful of who you follow, who you engage with. Even if you see something negative or something untrue, don't engage. There are many times I start typing something and then I backspace, backspace, backspace. You know, I'm like, is this worth it? Is this worth my peace of mind? No. And another thing, you cannot convince anybody of anything on social media. When people are on social media, their opinion is already formed. Social media is not the place to engage in healthy debate. So sometimes you just have to walk away, leave things alone. But the rise of the fake profiles, I don't know, that's something that we need to do something
I don't
about for
know.
sure.
I mean, like you said, like it's a huge battle.
Yes.
And sometimes people take these things as facts.
Yes.
And it just spreads like wildfire.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, it's almost like, how do you fight that?
Yeah, it's very difficult. And that's why some people just don't put anything on social media at all, because it's a very scary place to be. One minute you could be laughing at something, and then the other minute you become the target of some big scandal that erupts. It's so amazing how social media flips, right? And because the friendships or the connections aren't genuine, sometimes you could have a connection on social media and that same person is speaking ill of you and you're Facebook friends with them, for example. So again, we have to focus on quality relationships, not quantity relationships, and use social media to your advantage. There are many advantages: connecting with people in another country or even learning information. Social media has its benefits there, but we have to be mindful of our own individual use, because you can't be responsible for my mental health where social media is concerned, and vice versa. I have to take stock of that.
Now, I want to spend a couple minutes. You mentioned Kizelle Jackson just
Yeah.
earlier, and we've watched it. We watched the whole bacchanal unfold.
Yes.
And what is your take on just even how she has been able to handle herself?
Yes.
Because I think there are some messages in there for women
Yeah.
who have dealt with that sort of bullying and that sort of thing.
So, the way she coped with it is very different to how somebody else may have coped with it. So, for example, even for me, I would have disconnected, I would have come off, I would have probably withdrawn. And that doesn't necessarily mean I am depressed or anything, but I would have disconnected. She chose instead to use it as an opportunity, maybe to speak out, maybe to sort of bring to awareness certain situations like revenge porn and how dangerous it could be.
Yes.
But also it was a source of comfort for her too, because there were people on her side. There was validation she was receiving. And despite all the differences in opinions, whether she is right or wrong in her approach to it, it was what worked for her. And she at the end of the day had a positive message in that she said this is an opportunity for her to learn from the mistakes that she's made. And I think that's good.
And then what was interesting too is that she continued to engage, trying to help out and reach out
Yes.
to people that
Yes.
are less fortunate than her.
Exactly. It did not stop her, and she demonstrated good resiliency in that respect. And I think despite the fact that she was on social media, she also did a lot of other things to help her. She mentioned going back to prayer, praying a lot, waking up and reading her Bible. She mentioned talking to her friends and family that are close to her. So she definitely utilized some good strategies. All in all, it was a very unfortunate scenario, how everything unfolded in the public eye, how everything came out. It was very disgraceful, very distasteful. But I think she used it in a way to at least make herself feel better.
I want you to also mention, as we're getting ready to wrap up here, about the importance of journaling.
Yes.
Because many times we are not able to speak to people, other people, about the situations, or you might have fears in expressing your real emotions.
Yes.
And so speak to us a little bit on, the importance of journalism in terms of helping with your mental health.
So journaling is extremely important. In fact, it's something I recommend to my clients all the time, this, regardless of what they might be facing. And it's more so if you feel like you don't have social support, if you feel like you can't trust anybody, journaling is a way that the brain is able to express what it's feeling, what it's going through. It helps to sort of make your thoughts more coherent. Even if it's jumbled initially, you find that the more you write, the more you're able to organize and process things. And sometimes that is what we need in order to move forward from situations or in order to deal with situations. Keeping our thoughts in our head does nothing for us. It just cycles on and on. But when we write it, when we say it, then that expression of it allows us to make sense of it. Because sometimes, have you ever said something, like thought something, but then when you said it out loud, it didn't make sense?
Not sound good
Exactly.
at all.
And that happens in writing too. You write something down, and when you reread it, it's like, am I really making a big deal out of this? Am I being rational here? Am I this? Am I that? And that opportunity allows you to process things. So it's a very healthy, engaging activity.
All right. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Williams, for
Thank
being on
you.
with us. And of course, she is one of the speakers here for the Tourism Women's Forum as we focus on women moving into the digital world and
Yes.
creating equity where that's concerned. So
Yes.
thank you again, Dr.
Thank you
Williams.
again, Candice, for having me.
All right, viewers, so that's how we're going to have to wrap this morning show as the sun is coming down very, very hot and warm over us. We want to thank you for joining us from wherever you are in the world, and have a wonderful, safe, and productive day. Have a wonderful weekend as well, because it is Friday. I kept forgetting that today is Friday, but it is Friday, so have some fun, get some relaxation in, and get ready to be productive again for the next week. All right, so see you on Monday.